You know, they were talking about the government dropped some of Diddy's charges and whatnot. So I had to go get the document so I could say exactly what was dropped, okay? With that all been said, of course, this is breaking news. But let's talk about it because I have the actual document here on my other phone. Okay, so let's get into it. Everybody hit that like button. Please like, share, and subscribe. Okay, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, so once again, hey, goodness ready, beloved. So once again, if you missed the first broadcast I did just a few minutes ago, please go back and watch, okay? But this is breaking news. They have dropped some of Diddy's charges. I wanted to be sure before I said anything. I knew that I'd heard that they dropped some, but I actually have the court document right here on my other phone. You all see that? You all see that? That's the document, so let's talk about it. And you know, for those of you who watched the video that I did a couple of nights ago, when I talked about the verdict sheet, I told you that these are the charges that they didn't prove. Okay, please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, United States versus Combs. Dear Judge Subramanian, the government respectfully writes regarding its requested edits to the court's proposed jury instructions. Now, the government understands the court's desire for streamlined instructions. Okay, with that in mind, the government has suggested ways to streamline those instructions. Specifically, the government has removed instructions from the charge relating to attempted kidnapping. Okay, attempted kidnapping under both California and New York law. Attempted arson under California, aiding and abetting S trafficking. The government is no longer planning to proceed on these theories, liability, so instructions are no longer necessary. The government has also attempted to simplify the language relating to count 1, a proposal as explained in the government's comments, in the comment bubbles, that the government hopes not only serves the purposes of streamlining the instructions, but also will avoid any confusion as to the operative agreement for count 1. Now let me tell y'all something. What does this tell you? Leon said you called the Queen. Yes, I did. Thank you, beloved. Okay, do y'all hear what I'm saying? So the case in point is, when I went over that verdict sheet nights ago, I told you the things that they did not prove. Now they have dropped those things. And you know what that says to me? That they know their case is weak. That says to me that they know their case is weak, and that's why the defense didn't even bother to call witnesses. I told you all there was no other explanation for the defense not to call one single witness, not even the forensic psychiatrist, to testify to Diddy's mental capacity at the time of the beatings and the violence. With that all being said, I told you all the defense knew something we didn't know. Didn't I tell you all that? They knew that the feds were going to drop some of these charges. That's what it was, okay? So where's their case? Where is their case? This means their case is so weak at the end of the day. Y'all out here dropping charges this late in the game at the finish line because they knew that they couldn't prove it. But let's continue. Now, the S trafficking and forced labor instructions. Now, here are the instructions. While the government has taken seriously the court's desire for brevity, the government still strongly believes that certain limited additional instructions on S trafficking and forced labor instructions, which are regularly given in S trafficking and forced labor trials, in this circuit, they are necessary for the jury to adequately understand the law on these charges. They didn't prove that forced labor either. They did not prove forced labor. When they're saying that Capricorn Clark worked and didn't get paid for 80 hours of her overtime, that is not the equivalent of forced labor, okay? And she also said she wanted to go back and work for him. So they didn't prove forced labor, in my opinion. But that's just me. Now, with that all being said, each of these instructions reflect established case law and are directly relevant to key issues in the case. Now, moreover, without such instructions, the government has serious concerns that the jury may misunderstand the applicable law for both charges. Didn't I tell you all that too? Remember, you heard it here first. I literally told you guys that these people would be confused, okay? That the jurors would have to be very much versed on how to determine what the elements are needed to prove and validate a RICO conspiracy. I said this could be very confusing for them, and I told you that the judge seemed to have thought the same thing, knew the same thing. Of course he knew it if I knew it, but at the end of the day, the judge was worried about that. That was something that he said could be confusing. Now, with that all being said, moreover, without such instructions, the government has serious concerns that the jury may misunderstand the applicable law for both charges, which are extremely complex legal concepts about which jurors may have preconceived, mistaken notions. Now, the defense repeatedly cites United States versus Dove, okay, from the Second Circuit in 1990, for the proposition that the government's additional instructions on S trafficking are unbalanced and should be rejected. But Dove says nothing about the instructions on well-established propositions of law, which is the only type of instructions that the government is asking to add here. Please pay attention. This is all so nefarious. Instead, the instructions in Dove are of an entirely different nature. One of the instructions in Dove involved a hypothetical given to the jury about a criminal defendant, which assumed the defendant's guilt. I want y'all to pay attention. They don't have anything. This is all so crazy. Like at the end of the day, I mean, we could say where they have a few things, but this makes their case look even more shoddy. This is like a waste of damn time. At the end of the day, do you all see this? Do you all see this? Linda says the state will pick up these charges. It doesn't even matter. If the feds can't prove it, what is the state going to do? Who cares? That's irrelevant. Bottom line is they got no case. This is all just real crazy as far as I'm concerned. This is all real damn crazy. They done wasted all of our time with a bunch of BS. And I told you all days ago that all they keep talking about is baby oil and Astroglide. We don't want to hear about that. I told you they should have spent more of their time talking about the RICO and how they established it and the things and the elements needed, not talking about baby oil and Astroglide and who's doing what, sending us salacious or showing us salacious, nefarious, sexually explicit text messages. That's why we were falling asleep. And so were some of the jurors, by the way. They lost people with that, okay? They lost people with that. Goodness Ray DeBoe said, Queen, are you sure some of the charges have been dropped? Well, listen, I'll say this much. Here's the letter right here. Here's the document right here. That's the documents. Okay? This is all BS. I told you all, didn't I tell you all from day one the prosecution was fumbling and bumbling this case? Didn't I tell you all that they were making a bunch of missteps? Didn't I tell you all they were allowing in prior bad acts? Didn't I tell you all they were making objections for minuscule things that made no sense? That was my opinion. At the end of the day, it is what it is. Like, this is all just a waste of time as far as I'm concerned. The lounge says you sure did. Thank you, beloved. Okay? This is all crazy as hell. Now, here we are. The verdict is supposed to come out next week. Closing arguments start tomorrow. You mean to tell me that now they want to drop charges? But please pay attention, because like I said, when we went over the verdict sheet the other night, some people got mad at me when they watched the video, but I told you all they had not proven any of these things. And now, here's the proof, because now they want to drop it.
Just shout out to this queen this morning.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Make sure you see.
With that all being said, isn't that crazy as hell? Just a whole waste of time. No wonder people have been saying it's a joke. And then the fact that they kept showing us all of these damn text messages that we've seen over and over and over. Listening to audio that we've heard time and time again. Playing sealed information like the freak-off footage that we can't listen to or see, but just wasting so much time on the freak-off stuff. Okay? And they wonder why people are not convinced. Do you all think the jurors are convinced? If we're not convinced, do you think the jurors are convinced? I have several questions. I don't know, that remains to be seen, but at the end of the day, what do you think the jurors are going to be thinking when they see that they dropped so many of these charges? When we see, or they see, that they have dropped many of these charges. Y'all don't find that crazy? Y'all don't find it interesting? Hold on one second. it's hot out here. I'm about to pass out already. But anyway, at the end of the day, what do y'all think? Leon said, Queen, you called it. Thank you, beloved. Steven said, looks like he's going to walk. Linda says, thank you for your hard work. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. Listen, I love all of y'all. Listen, some people were getting mad at me. Now, I'm just here to tell y'all the truth. I have never painted narratives about this case. It is a fact that I do not like Diddy. I absolutely think Diddy had something to do with the demise of Tupac. But the bottom line is he's not on trial for that. Okay? He's not on trial for that. And the things that he's on trial for, I told you all that some of this stuff wasn't being proven. At the end of the day, I told you all 2 days ago that the defense must know something we don't. I told you all that the defense must feel like they're winning to not call a single witness, not even the forensic psychiatrist. And then I said, because they've got to have some sort of strategy, if they're not calling witnesses, they must not want to beat a dead horse. And then here we are. This is all crazy. That's right. Sheila said on trial for the wrong thing. Nessa G said, yes, you did. Now I want you all to pay attention because I also told you all months ago that they overcharged the man. I said they have overcharged Diddy. He's guilty of some things in my opinion, but they have overcharged him. Now look at it. And now here's the proof. This is all crazy as hell. What do y'all have to say about this? Okay, what do y'all have to say about this? That's right, Leon said, please pay attention. Okay? Anyway, I find it all interesting. Listen, the bottom line is this is not going the way the feds wanted it to go. It is not going the way they wanted it to go. Linda said, yes, they overcharged him for real. Yes. Jay says, it's sad people don't see this goes deeper than Diddy. My people will be slow and think deep. Well, here's the thing. It does go deeper than Diddy. We do know that. On this channel, we absolutely know that. The Lounge says, Queen. Queen been 100% best reporter at 500 Pearl Street, hands down. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your kind words and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. Now, listen, we know that on this channel that it goes deeper than Diddy. We know that there's other bigger players involved in things, other people that are higher up, and who, in fact, Diddy learned some of these things from. Okay, he learned some of his nefariousness from these other people, in my opinion. I've said that from day one. We have talked about that on here. We know it goes deeper than Diddy. We also know that some people that have been doing the same things that Diddy is accused of are never going to see a courtroom because those people are protected, in my opinion. I mean, let's just talk about Mike Jeffries from Abercrombie & Fitch. After all the dirt that he's done and all the things he's been accused of, he was still given a bail. Diddy wasn't. And then they have now said that he is incompetent to stand trial due to suffering from dementia. How convenient is that? Nobody wants to talk about Peter Nygaard and his nefarious actions that are worse than what Diddy is accused of. Nobody wants to talk about that. Okay, they sweep those stories under the rug at the end of the day. What is Lucian Grange and Clive Davis doing? Do you all remember when I showed you the proof and receipts that Clive Davis was out here with a whole bunch of rugs with a D in the 1970s? Was arrested, okay? Wasn't it millions of dollars worth or hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of rugs? Y'all remember that? So these people, a lot of their hands aren't clean. A lot of them have done a lot of things, but they have the complexion for the protection. And so therefore, they will not go down. Other people who look like Diddy and R. Kelly will. And Mr. Bill Cosby, they'll let people come back and tell lies on Bill Cosby from 30 years ago. There's no DNA evidence. There's nothing to really prove it or whatever. He said, she said, and that's how that went. And they weren't even supposed to even prosecute Mr. Bill Cosby, okay, due to what the prosecution said, okay, in the beginning. That's why they had to let him out. But I'm just telling y'all, pay attention to how narratives are painted. Now, some people can get mad all they want and say, oh, you're working for Diddy. I don't give a damn about Diddy at the end of the day, but I do give a damn about the truth and the judicial system, especially as it pertains to people who look like me. Because if they can do it to one of us, they can do it to any of us, and that's what y'all need to realize. Okay, do y'all have black sons? Okay? That's right. It is absolutely, Nicole, a crooked system. It is all so shady and all so sketchy at the end of the day. Bottom line is, now we see. See, they knew the case was weak from day one. They knew the case was weak from day one. But you see what it is they had people out here in the media, and they had some people that are content creators pushing their narrative to try to convince people of certain things, telling lies and mixing lies with truth. okay, and all sorts of nefarious to continue to paint that point, that narrative. But at the end of the day, when they started reading the comments online, when they started seeing people's reactions, when they started reading the articles, and even with some of the lamestream media, as I call them, even what some of them were in fact saying, I think they started to see that everybody's not buying it. And it's going to be a whole lot harder than they thought to prove that all of these things added up to a RICO. Okay? Now, I just wonder what the jurors are going to have to say about that. And again, the jurors won't be here today. They've been given the day off. But we're going to go into court at 12 o'clock. They're going to talk about their arguments or whatever, the prosecution and the defense. And the closing arguments will start tomorrow. And I, for one, can't wait, because these are going to be so dramatic, I'm sure. It's going to be like an episode of Perry Mason, honey. They said, Tina Garagos said, I do believe it was Tina Garagos who said that, in fact, the closing arguments will be no less than 4 hours apiece. Okay, I want you all to pay attention. It's going down. And now that we know that the diddler, I'm sorry, say what now? They done dropped charges. Yeah, because they couldn't prove it. I told y'all 2 nights ago that stuff wasn't proven. I told y'all. Okay, don't forget, y'all heard it here first. Okay, you hear many other people using the catchphrase. You heard it here first, but that started with the queen, and y'all know that. Now, with that all being said, Leon said, tell him, queen, okay? At the end of the day, hey, Brina, look at Zara talking about free Diddy. Well, I told y'all, I'm not going to pay attention. Yeah, I heard second. Oh, that's all fine, beloveds. That's all fine. If you heard that second, I don't believe you, because many people didn't have the verdict sheets, and many people darn sure didn't go over it 2 days ago. So miss me with it. But even if you didn't hear it first, most people on this channel absolutely did, okay? Moderators, block Odin for having a smart arse mouth. Moderators, block Odin so you can go hear it somewhere else the next time and the next time and the next time. How about that, okay? How about that? Make sure you block them. Now, Edward says, I feel for the people who crossed Diddy. Well, I tell y'all what. Hopefully, I won't have to pack my bags and move to Costa Rica. Because remember what I told you guys. If Diddy gets off, I'm leaving the country and going straight to Costa Rica. Y'all got my plane ticket? Y'all got my plane ticket? Hold on. When you come back to the ATL, please bring some cool air because we need it, okay? Please don't tell me it's hot in Atlanta. Are you serious? Please don't tell me it's as hot there as it is here, because I can't take it. Hey, Hundia, beloved. Okay? And do you already... Zara said, not Costa Rica. Okay? Hold on, I'm trying to read this comment. Global Friend says, you were always unbiased. You don't have to go nowhere, queen. Thank you, beloved. I tried to be. I tried to be, beloved. I do try to be unbiased and report the facts as they are presented, report the evidence and what the witnesses said as presented, not ever lying, mixing words, or just painting any narratives. That's what I have always tried to do. If the prosecution had a good day, I told you they had a good day. If the defense had a good day, I told you they had a good day. What I have never done is try to paint narratives or whatever at the end of the day. Leon said, the queen of receipts. Thank you, beloved. It's hotter up north than down here. Okay, than down south. Yeah, it's baking up here. And let me tell you something. Most of the buildings here, the one where I live specifically, they have air conditioners in the windows. Not central air like I'm used to in Atlanta. Okay, these brownstones, some of them got ACs in the window. Please pay attention. All right? Fred said Diddy is a good person. He helps all the orphans feel wanted again. All right. All right, beloved. Ha! Above all that drama, said Queen the Chopper's gassed up and ready to go. I know that's right. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. So listen, I love you all to life. I just had to come back and tell you all that real quick and show you all the document, the actual proof. Because, you know, sometimes people put out lies. I saw people saying it in the chat, and I was like, okay, I did hear something about that this morning on my way here in the lift. But when I was looking for it on Google, I didn't see anything. but I got the receipts, okay? Somebody sent me the document, so it's official. With that all being said, I love you all for all to life. I hope you enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. And I will be back after court is over to give you all the latest. All right, so until next time,